Hello dearies, welcome to the craft kitchen. So a while ago we made these swatches, these watercolor spray swatches. And mainly I made them because I wanted to have some nice backgrounds, some nice autumn leavish backgrounds, because all the beautiful dried leaves from last year I preserved and all that. I put them through my laminator, but the machine decided to build kind of like a fan with the plastic sheet and the leaves inside. So my laminating sheet was stuck in there. I took it apart and I couldn't rescue the leaves anymore. I could have rescued the laminator, didn't happen anything, but when I opened it up I detected the rolls, the double roller in there. The surface was kind of like cracked, so it's actually silicone-ish, and this laminator was about 15 years old, maybe older. So at some point, you really have to exchange your tools. I haven't found a proper replacement for my laminator yet. Whoa, different words. So I decided to just use my watercolor sprays to make a background and then just die cut some leaves. You could also just die cut some leaves out of a book, place them on your homemade background, trace around and cut them again. But using the die cuts is really much more faster than fuzzy cutting everything. So I'm starting, because we're using watercolors, they aren't opaque, so you have to start with the lightest color and the darkest on top. And I already know how they will look. Get open. On this paper, this is the same watercolor paper I've used for the swatches. So let's see, let me take this away. So I'm starting with this yellow ochre. Yes, you actually have to shake them because, yeah, you can see it. These are the pigments and this is my water. And you want to have a really good mix. Just spraying my watercolor here and there. Of course, cleaning the nozzle. I want some more over here and maybe here. Yeah. And now you could let this dry, air dry, or you'll take your heat tool. I'm actually going to use my heat tool. So now I have to decide if I want to use red on here. I didn't swatch the mixing the colors, but I know this red would be really bright if I mix it with orange. Also this would become very bright, but I do have this color, this burnt sienna, in here, and this is what I'm going to use for the reddish brownish parts on here. Using quite a bit, yes, but I'm also going in with some water, with a mist bottle, and then I'm going to let this run. Maybe I need some more water. Don't know. Yeah, I need more water here. And actually not touching this again, just letting the color run on the paper. So we do get an organic look on this, and you already can see there are different shades of color. So I'm going to let this dry like this, and I'm not wasting this color. I'm actually using my pre-cut tags I bought a while ago, and take the color off my mat, my release paper in this case. So I will have a ready background for another tag at hand. There again. Let this dry. Taking another. You can see I've used the white tags quite a lot because I'm actually working a lot with my mixed watercolors, mixed watercolors. Maybe I can take off here the tiniest bit before I remove this with my paper towel. There you go. And again here. Oh yeah, beautiful. So I don't worry about the markings in here because they will run into one another anyway. So letting this dry too, and then I do have to take off some of the watery paint at the edges here. And because I actually do like what I'm looking at right now, I'm using my heat gun to stop the blending on here. So I've just used my heat gun to stop the color from blending furthermore, and there are some puddles where I just dabbed in a paper towel and lifted the color, so this is looking much more organic. And these brown spots here, this is what you get when you're using these really cheap watercolors. This was what I was going for. Turned out way better here where I dabbed in the tag. And now I'm going to let this dry on its own, so the paper will be more flat, because when I use my heat gun, the paper will, don't know, maybe dry first here and then here and then here, and you will have it all wobbly. This is all dry, and now I'm trying to get some green on here too, just to have a hint. What you're hearing in the background is my grandson dog. He couldn't decide if he wanted to stay with Grandpa or with his uncle or with me, so he's staying with me for now. And I'm also using burnt sienna while the green is still wet. And again, I'm going to let this dry. Now this will be my starting point for my die cutting leaves. I'm not adding a darkish brown or darkish red because I do actually want the edges of my leaves to have the darker colors. So I'm just leave it like it is and then color the edges after I've cut out the leaves. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the back with coffee. Yeah. I think I'm going to use 2 layers of coffee at least. Means I'm going to paint the back, let it dry completely, paint another layer, let this dry, and then maybe put a 3rd layer on top. I've added 2 layers of coffee, just 1 layer, let it dry, and then another layer, just dabbed my coffee on and let this dry. And I think 2 layers are really enough on here. I've backed this with coffee, so I do have maybe like a card for little notes with these leaves. And even if I do glue them on a page or pocket or tag or whatever, I don't have to worry about the background at any time. So this is the front. There's some coffee has seeped through here and I've splattered a bit there. I don't mind. I was thinking to splatter some more coffee on here, but first I'm cutting out my leaves and then I'll see if I do want some splatters on here. So I do have this strip left, as you can see, coffee on the back side and watercolors on the front. So for those who don't have a die cutting machine, I'm so sorry for you. I feel you. I didn't have one, I don't know, like forever. You just use a really sharp pencil and trace around a leaf you already have. This is my fall decoration, my wooden fall decoration, like so. And again, there's my granddog son in the background, waiting for his parents to come home. Poor boy. Yeah, well, poor old man. So just tracing around, like so. There you have it, and just cut it. So let me cut this so I can show you. This will be the same. And yeah, I'm keeping my die cut, my negative die cuts. Always keep them because they make wonderful stencils. And it actually doesn't matter if there are maybe some colors bleeding into your inks. In my opinion, it makes it just more organic. So I'm just cutting this out roughly. Well, I don't know if you could see it properly in the time lapse. I was moving the paper when cutting the fringed edges here. These edges there. Not the scissors. Moving the paper is way easier. So I'm getting rid of these pencil marks. there. And actually, when I only do want, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 pieces that I can cut out by hand, I'm doing this because, yeah, getting out my embossing, my die cutting, embossing, whatever machine, and then placing the dies and paper and whatnot takes way longer than just going in and cut what I need. Let me make this a bit more narrow. There you go. So we do have the die cut leaves, and we do have this. Of course, we don't have the leaf veins on here. For this, you could actually just use kind of like an embossing pen and just mark this. But yeah, you really don't need them. There you have kind of like marks. I actually painted with this, not the best material, I think. Well, that's quite all right. So to kind of like grunge these up, I'm using coffee and some of my dark red color. Let me get a palette. There, so I can put some of this in here. There you go. And I think I'm going to try something Margaret, also known as Seven Plaza, showed us the other day. Actually, I was using felt tip pens before I bought my first ink pad to color the edges of my papers, but this doesn't look quite the same, right? But I never thought of using watercolors on a dauber. Whoa, this is great. There. So I do have my reddish tips here. I love it. Let's see. Oh, this is really great. So yeah, lack of ink colors, just use watercolors and a dauber. Great. Maybe you shouldn't squish it like I did. Just dab, because yeah, the background actually is also watercolor, and you will remove your watercolor when just kind of like brushing this. This is awesome. I love it. I really love it. So yeah, you can take any color you like, really. So let's see. Just a bit on this side, and to have more control over where to put your color, you also can use these these tiny makeup sponges. I'm using these for tiny edges. I do have to recolor. I love it. I really love it. I'm going to do this with most of the leaves, actually. Now, before I get lost in all this red and beautiful color, I want to use coffee as well. And for the coffee, I'm actually going to use one of these. Let me get a new one. So I do have this one here, very cheap. As you can see, it's all crooked. But I think a cotton swab would also work. So let's try this. Just soak it with coffee, and yeah, this is also working. There you go. Just dabbing on the edges of this. So while the coffee is drying, I'm testing another thing Margaret showed us, just painting with a aqua marker, a watercolor pencil on here, and then spraying a bit of water there. Now let's see, I've rinsed my double pad. So let's see, let's first use this, just taking on the ink, and maybe kind of like smoosh it. Ooh, I've been using, what does it say? What color is it? Bronze green. Yep. Love it. But because our background is made with watercolor, we just want to dab our color on the tiniest bit. Oh yes, that's nice. Yes. So I'm going to play around with the other leaves. So the first layer of coffee has dried, and I'm putting on some more here and there, and then let's see what this does, like so. Maybe some more over here. There you go. Just layering the coffee marks. And maybe I'm going in with a bit of red here, just what I do have on my cotton thingy, forgot the word. Just putting this on here, and this is too much color for my liking, so I'm taking my coffee and rubbing this off the tiniest bit there, and just blend it so I will have a more reddish brown color here. I already really like this one. I've been playing with greens and reds and also some coffee. This is also really nice. And here I've added the green bronze on top, the red color, and now I'm just going in with some coffee and let it dry. No, and while this is drying, I already know I do want my stamps to be the tiniest bit darker. So I'm just taking the edge of my dauber and fallen leaves, VersaFine Clair. Just go over the stem here. There. Also on this one, already dry. A bit more. I don't want to go all the way up, because when you look at a leaf, the kind of like, yeah, root of the leaf is always lighter than the stem of the leaf itself. Yeah, nearly the same color as the leaf is. So these are drying. I'm not very happy with what is happening here on this leaf with the coffee and on the watercolor background, but I really like this, yeah, more kind of like abstract color. This is where I splattered some coffee on my background paper. So let's see. So I'm using a fan brush. Am I using a fan brush? This would result, no, this would result in really tiny drops. So using a very cheap brush again, taking on some coffee here, and I'm trying to get some, oops, this wasn't intended, bigger drops on here. Maybe yeah, this could also work. Just placing the coffee drops with my brush on top of the leaf. Now I'm letting this dry all by itself and just wait what will happen. Yeah, well, I'm very pleased with the outcome of these leaves. This is where I stamped on with the watercolor paints. There. And like here. But I'm not a big fan of these, yeah, kind of like sharp edges. Well, this was an accident. It does look interesting. Also does this. They all actually look kind of like interesting. But if you take some water and a brush, maybe you can just blend these a bit after they're dry. I have to take off my glasses for this and get this a bit closer. I'm not sure. Maybe this, oh yeah, you can kind of like rub off the edges with some water. There. Trying to blend this a bit more, so I do have, yeah, more like, yeah, watercolor paint on here. Let's see what this will become. And then I do have these really sharp edges here. Maybe I'm able, yeah, I can blend these two. So I definitely will have some darker spots on here, but not these defined edges. Yep. So of course, if you do like the coffee spots on here, just leave it as is. But if you're like me and don't like them, just blend the colors with some water. This is how you can easily make your own autumn leaves for your junk journals or for decorating your window. Or I really like this one. These are really, really nice. And the outcome of this is the leaf we traced around the wooden leaf. I actually do like this. Maybe a bit more green on here will not be the biggest problem because, yeah, like I just demonstrated, you can use watercolor paints to stamp. Yeah, and on the back side you do have the coffee dyed paper, the aged paper look. So you can leave these like they are, leave these, and provide some writing space or put on some quotes or sentiments on here, or just some labels, or just glue them on a page. Dearies, however you're going to make your autumn leaves, whatever you're going to make with them, have a wonderful crafty time, and as always, be excellent to each other. See you next time. Bye!